Hello everyone, welcome to this session on verbal ability. I am Ashish, and in this video we are going to discuss a topic which has been very frequently asked in the recent years of CAT examination, which is paragraph summary. So if the same trend is followed this year as well, you can expect up to 3 questions in your exam related to paragraph summary. So let's start understanding this topic with the help of some example, but before that let's discuss the concept of these questions. So in these kind of questions you will be given a paragraph. So this is a paragraph given to you. There will be certain options and you need to identify which option depicts the essence of the passage. That means usually answer वो होगा which reproduces the central idea presented by the author in the passage. So you need to tell the essence of the passage. So to identify the right answer, or in a way to eliminate the wrong choices, there are certain rules. If you remember in para completion वाले topic में भी हमने कुछ rules discuss किए थे. So if you have not gone through that video, I will first advise you to go through the para completion wala video and then come back to this, because the same rules we'll try to follow in this topic as well. Additionally, also we'll discuss certain rules which are as follows. So we'll try to eliminate the choices which are in contradiction to what the author is saying. So eliminate the choices which are in contradiction to the idea presented in the passage. Again, eliminate the choices which are not available in the paragraph, and eliminate the choices which are beyond the scope of the paragraph. So if they are narrowing down the scope or if they are broadening the scope, then we will try to eliminate the choices. और उसके अलावा कुछ rules वही हैं जो पहले भी हम discuss कर चुके हैं. So let's try to understand this with the help of examples, and let's try to apply these rules and try to get through our answers. So this is the first question. There is a passage given to you and then it asks the idea in this sentence can be best summarized as, and there are 4 options. So pause the video, try to read, try to find out the answer, and then come back and check whether your answer is correct or not. So the paragraph is saying that I have been studying it consciously and subconsciously for 40 years and I still find men unaccountable. People I know intimately can surprise me by some action of theirs which I have never thought them capable of, or by the discovery of some trait which exhibit a side of themselves that I never suspected, never even suspected. So the author is saying that there are certain men which are unaccountable. There are people who surprise the author, and there are certain actions that you cannot predict even when you intimately know someone. So that is the broad idea presented in the passage. Let's look at the options. Option number A says men are inconsistent and therefore one should not be confident even about one's closest friends. So there are multiple problems with this option. First, it only talks about men. The author in the paragraph not only talk about men, he or she starts with the men and then goes on to people in general. But the option, it only talks about men, so it narrowing down the scope of the passage. Secondly, it is not available in the passage that one should not be confident even about the closest friend. So that is not available in the passage. So on account of these 2 criteria, we can simply eliminate the option. Let's come to the next choice now. Men are unpredictable. So again it is saying men. पहले option में भी हमने देखा था, the author not only talks about men but also talk about people in general. So it is narrowing down the scope. One can never tell what they will do next, hence one should be very careful in one's dealings. So again it is not available in the passage that author is talking about such thing. So option B is also eliminated. Option C. No matter how closely you know somebody, there still exists an unknown facet of his personality. So that is more or less what is the idea of the author in the passage. That even if you closely know somebody, still there is something which can surprise you. So C seems to be the right summary of the passage. So I'll go with option number C. Let's move to the next question now. Again, do the same exercise, pause the video, try to find out the answer, and then come back. The passage is saying that to me, a classic means precisely the opposite of what my predecessors understood. A work is classical by reason of its resistance to contemporaneity and supposed universality, by the reason of its capacity to indicate human particularity and difference in the past epoch. Epoch is a time in the history. The classic is not what tells me about shared humanity, or more truthfully put, what lets me recognize myself as already present in the past, what nourishes in me the illusion that everything has been like me and has existed only to prepare the way for me. Instead, the classic is what gives access to radically different forms of human consciousness for any given generation of readers, and thereby expands for them the range of possibilities of what it means to be a human being. So there are certain key points in the passage. The author is simply defining what is a classic in the paragraph. So it says the classic is not what your predecessors has understood. So it is something quite different. And it is different from the contemporary things. It is resistant to supposed universality, and it is not what tells me about the shared humanity, and it in a way it is saying that it is radically different from everything you have did in the past. So let's try to go to the choices first. Choice A says a classic is able to focus on contemporary human condition. It's a clear contradiction. The author is not saying this. The author is saying opposite to what the option is saying. So option A is eliminated on the account of contradiction. Option B is saying a classical work seeks to resist particularity and temporal difference even as it focuses on a common humanity. Again, the classic is something which doesn't focus on the common humanity. It is not what tells me about shared humanity. So again, there is a clear contradiction to what the author is saying. So option B is also eliminated. Option C says a classic is a work exploring the new. It seems alright. Going beyond the universal, it is also fine. Going beyond the universal, the contemporary, and the notion of a unified human consciousness. So all the things seems to be in line with author is saying. So let's hold this option for a moment and check option D. A classic is a work that provides access to a universal experience. No, it doesn't provide access to a universal experience of the human race as opposed to the radically different forms of human consciousness. So again, it is contradicting what the author is saying. So clearly the correct answer here is option number C. So let's go to the next question now. This passage is saying that a translator of literary works needs a secure hold upon the two languages involved, supported by a good measure of familiarity with the two cultures. For an Indian translating works in an Indian language into English, finding satisfactory equivalents in a generalized Western culture of practices and symbols in the origin would be less difficult than gaining fluent control of the contemporary English. When a Westerner works on text in Indian languages, the interpretation of cultural elements will be the major challenge, rather than control over the grammar and the essential vocabulary of the language concerned. It is much easier to remedy lapses in language in a text translated into English than flaws of content. Since it is easier for an Indian to learn the English language than it is for a Briton or American to comprehend Indian culture, translation of Indian text it's better left to Indians. So the author starts that translator requires two things, one the language and the अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द कल्चर. अब उसने इंग्लैंड इंडियन और अमेरिकन्स या ब्रिटेन्स की बात करी है कि उनमें क्या डिफरेंस हो सकता है. तो फॉर एन इंडियन it is less difficult to gain understanding of the culture than to gain understanding of the English. And for a Western, again, he is saying that it is easier to grasp the understanding of the language, but it is difficult to interpret the cultural elements. So that is the broad idea of the passage. And finally, the author concludes that the translation of the Indian text should be left to Indians only. So that is what the author is saying. Now let's look at the choices. Option A says, while translating, the Indian and the Westerner face the same challenges. Do they face the same challenges? So that is not available in the passage. So A is eliminated. Option B says, as preserving cultural meanings is the essence of the literary translation. Is it given in the passage that preserving cultural meaning is the essence? Let's move on. Indians' knowledge of the local culture outweighs the initial disadvantage of lower fluency in English. But it's not complete. The author concludes clearly that the translation of the text should be left to Indians. So B in a way is incomplete. It's not talking about the final thing, the conclusion. C says Indian translator should translate Indian text, which is alright, as their work is less likely to pose cultural problems which are harder to address than the quality of language. So it is in the same lines what the author is saying. Let's hold it for a moment and move to D. D says Westerners might be good at gaining reasonable fluency in new languages, but as understanding the culture reflected in the literature is crucial, Indians remains better placed. But it is again not complete. It is not saying that translation should be done by the Indians, which is the main point of the author in the passage. So again it is incomplete. Hence C seems to be a better option. So C is the answer. Let's move on to the next question. It says for each of the past 3 years, temperatures have hit peaks not seen since the birth of meteorology, and probably not for more than 110,000 years. The amount of carbon dioxide in the air is at its highest level in 4 million years. So temperature have hit the peaks, highest CO2 emissions. This does not cause storms like Harvey. There have always been storms and hurricanes along the Gulf of Mexico, but it makes them wetter and more powerful. So it does not cause the storms, but it makes them wetter and more powerful. As the seas warm, they evaporate more easily and provide energy to storm fronts. Now it's explaining why it makes them more powerful. As the air above them warms, it holds more water vapor. For every half a degree Celsius in warming, there is about a 3% increase in the atmospheric moisture content. Scientists call this the Clausius-Clapeyron equation. I don't know how to pronounce this. The author might kill me for mispronouncing. Okay, let's move on. This means the skies fill more quickly and have more to dump. The storm surge was greater because sea levels have risen 20 centimeters as a result of more than 100 years of human related global warming, which has melted glaciers and thermally expanded the volume of sea water. So this is a typical looking passage. CAT 2017 में आया था ये question. So try to read it again and then try to find out what the author is trying to say and eliminate the choices. The author is saying that in the initial few years, temperatures have hit the peaks. CO2 emissions in the air at its highest, and though it does not cause the storms like Harvey, but it makes them wetter and more powerful. Then it explains how it does that, and so on. So let's move to the options. Option A says the storm Harvey is one of the regular annual ones from the Gulf of Mexico, global warming and Hawaii are unrelated phenomena. So that is not available in the passage. So option A cannot be the answer. Option B says global warming does not breed storms but makes them more destructive. So that is similar in the lines of the author. Then this equation, though it predicts potential increase in the atmospheric moisture content, cannot predict the scale and the damage storms might wreak. So again, it is not available in the passage. The first part यहाँ तक तो ठीक है, but उसके बाद जो कह रहा है that is not the main point of the author. So this is again eliminated. C says global warming melts glaciers, resulting in sea water volume expansion. This enables more water vapor to fill the air above faster. Thus, modern storms contain more destructive energy. So this seems to be in line with the passage. Let's hold this option for a while and move to D. It is naive to think that the rising sea levels and the force of tropical storms are unrelated. When did the author talk about it? I don't think so. However, as destructive as global warming has armed it with more moisture content, but this may not be true for all the storms. Again, it is not available in the passage what the option is talking about. So clearly the answer here is C. So with the help of the rules that we have discussed earlier, it is quite easy to eliminate the choices. So again, in summary type questions, do not try to select the right answer, but try to eliminate the wrong choices. I hope you gained some understanding of the paragraph summary and you will be able to attempt these type of questions better next time you appear for your test. So we'll again meet with a new topic. Till then, keep practicing. Goodbye.